Psalm 16, a miktam of David. Keep me safe, O God, for in you I take refuge. I said to the Lord, you are my Lord. Apart from you, I have no good thing. As for the saints who are in the land, they are the glorious ones in whom is all my delight. The sorrows of those will increase who run after other gods. I will not pour out their libations of blood or take up their names on my lips. Lord, you have assigned me my portion and my cup. You have made my lot secure. The boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Surely I have a delightful inheritance. I will praise the Lord who counsels me. Even at night my heart instructs me. I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad, and my tongue rejoices. My body also will rest secure, because you will not abandon me to the grave, nor will you let your Holy One see decay. You have made known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. May we be blessed by the word of God today. Well, when Matt and I first started dating, we were kind of on a timeline. We had a countdown going. He had already accepted a job at a summer camp for the whole summer in West Virginia. Yeah. We had known each other kind of casually for a while. We were both serving at a church together, volunteering. Well, he was a volunteer. And by the time we clicked, it was already late April. The countdown was on to his departure date, which was set for, I think, June 12th, something like that. And so, it's like we knew each other for a while, finally had that conversation where it clicked around April, and then he left for the whole summer. And, West Virginia, not super well known for its amazing cell phone reception and incredible internet availability. Not to mention, that whole having to keep kids alive day and night while working at a camp. And so while he was gone for the summer, once a week, in my email inbox, yes, he's old-fashioned, would pop up a song. He would send me a link to a song on YouTube that just expressed something. He would just send kind of like a cute little song, and it was just a way for us to stay connected through the summer. And it kind of made a summer playlist for me. Even all these years later, it's like I still will hear one of those songs come up on the radio and I go, oh, it's one of the summer songs. Those songs formed a way for us to stay connected, for us to deepen our relationship, even though we weren't seeing each other at all, or even talking every day. And when we did talk, we often got interrupted. Those songs were a way for him to reach out, to express things that, maybe 3 weeks into a relationship and a summer away from each other, weren't that easy to say out loud. And so now we kind of have these songs that have shaped the beginnings of our relationship and given us a way to stay connected. And I am calling this summer, we don't have the summer of songs, but we have the summer of psalms, because these psalms in the Bible are poems and songs that go back not just a decade, but thousands of years. They form a way for us to express something that's such a deep part of the human experience, something that goes back thousands of years. They're timeless. And I don't just mean like, Elvis timeless or the Everly Brothers kind of timeless, right? Like these are really, really timeless. Um, and there truly is a psalm for every kind of moment of life, for every experience that a human might have. There's a psalm for that. And Psalm 16 is a psalm for those moments when it feels like trouble has come your way. Uh, this psalm is described as a miktam of David. And while there isn't an exact translation of the word miktam, some scholars think that it can be that its definition can be connected to the fact that these psalms that are described this way were written at a time when David was experiencing trouble from his enemies. And when I say trouble from his enemies, I don't mean, one of the other moms was being mean to him in a pickup line. I don't mean trouble, the bills are piling up kind of trouble. Trouble, I don't mean your boyfriend broke up with you kind of trouble. I mean, there's guys with swords looking for you. Okay, that's the kind of trouble that I'm talking about. But here's the thing. I don't think that our nervous system often knows the difference between guys with swords looking for you and the stress of how you're going to pay your mortgage or your rent for that month. Right? Our nervous systems, our human nervous systems were designed in one kind of an environment, and they still act up. Do you know what that acting up is called? It's called anxiety. That's the modern word for what it looks like when trouble is at the gates. And this psalm, for me, this is actually one of my favorite psalms. It's very personally meaningful for me, even though it was the lectionary choice for this week, because this psalm has been there for me in times of trouble. Trouble like guys with swords? No, I've never really been in that scene, never really gotten into too much trouble with the guys with swords. But when it comes to anxiety, yeah, I've had moments. I've had my moments. The way that the psalmist here, David, responds can really give us some good points on what we can do in anxious moments. When trouble comes knocking at our door, a call from a debt collector, another rejected resume, a bad test result at the doctor's, an injury that crops up when you thought you were just getting back on your feet, whatever it looks like, those things can weigh us down. And this kind of shows us a little bit of a template for how we can respond to some of those things. And this first section, David says, "Keep me safe, O God. In you I take refuge." Man, I have turned that into a mantra. Keep me safe, O God, for in you I take refuge. If you are somebody who lets the worries pile up, if you're somebody who wakes up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep, if you're somebody who struggles with anxiety, that's a really good sentence to memorize. And there's even a kind of prayer called the breath prayer, where as you breathe out, you breathe one part of the prayer. As you breathe in, you say the second part of the prayer. For me, this has been a great breath prayer You breathe out. Keep me safe, O God. Breathe in. For in you I take refuge. Breathe out. Keep me safe, O God. Breathe in. For in you I take refuge. It combines not just the prayer, but also the physiological fact that focusing on our breathing can help actually calm down our nervous system. Anxiety isn't just a mental thing, it's a physical thing too, right? Because our nervous systems get all activated. Like there's guys with swords who are going to be banging down the door at any second. Like, no, I just saw a post from a friend on Instagram that I got in a fight with a while back. You know what I mean? It's like not the same thing, but that activation is a big part of it. And so breathing and praying can help calm our bodies and reduce our activation. But this part says, I say to the Lord, you are my Lord. Apart from you, I have no good thing. Verse 4 says, the sorrows of those will increase who run after other gods. I will not pour out their libations of blood or take up their names on my lips. Okay, that sounds kind of strange, but if we understand in this context that thousands and thousands of years ago, animal sacrifice was part of worship for many religions, there was blood involved. But what David is saying here is don't get tripped up on this libations of blood, which sounds like a Game of Thrones kind of a reference. What he's saying is, I'm not going to turn to other religious practices just in case. Okay, in this kind of a situation, like in our context, I see a lot of people turning towards other traditions, right? Like maybe I'll charge my crystals in the moon just in case. Maybe maybe I'll turn to another superstition just in case. And a lot of that stuff is really trendy. Crystals are beautiful. Ruby loves crystals. She brought hers with her to the park and was showing it to all her friends. But it's not a religious object, right? Because God is enough. And when we turn to other traditions and say, okay, well, I'm going to try this just in case, or just because it makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I have a backup plan. And that's what David's saying here. He's saying, I'm not going to go and pursue other superstitions because I know that God is enough. I know that outside of God, there's really no good to be found. And I'm going to spend my time with the saints who are in the land. I'm going to look after the people. We talked about this last week. I'm going to look after the people. I'm going to look to the people who have continued to turn to God no matter what. I'm going to follow their lead. So we're not going to turn to superstition. We're acknowledging God is the one who holds us. God is the one who keeps us secure. He is the one in whom we take our delight, and we sort of ground ourselves in that truth. There's a turning to God and realizing that God is the one who holds every good thing. That's why every week when we take the tithes and offerings, we do the offering, and we do it as a collective group because we are all saying, none of what I have is mine. Whether it's a lot or whether it's a little, we all work hard. But God is the one who gives the gifts. And it is a way for us to acknowledge that God is the giver of all the things that we enjoy financially, and in every area of our life, relationally, He is the one who gives us all of those things. And the way that an ancient Israelite would have understood that was because God is the one who gave the Israelites their land. For any time you see a description of talking about the land, especially in the Old Testament, when God made the covenant with Abraham, way back in the first book of the Bible, God says, I will give you a people and I will give them a place. Right? How many of us have looked for a place to live? How many of us have looked for a place to live? We are very blessed. We have had the opportunity to purchase a home, and we sold our home during the pandemic. I had a 7-month-old. I think I lost my mind a little bit. In 2021, we put our house on the market. We sold it on contingency. That means you sell your house to buy another house because we wanted to move. And that meant, so somebody bought our house, they accepted it. We had to be out of the house May 5th. We sold our house February 12th. Okay, that's fast. That's really, really fast to try to buy another house. If you've ever been at the risk of losing your place and you need to find a place, you know the importance of having a place to call your own, a place that's yours. Whether you own it or whether you rent it, it's a place that's stable, right? Having a place is a sign of security, and God gave the Israelites the land. And so when David says here, Lord, you have assigned me my portion and my cup, you have made my lot secure. You have given me the gifts, you have given me what I need, you have given me a place, you have fulfilled your promises to me. The boundary lines, right? Isn't that a property description? The boundary lines for me have fallen in pleasant places. Do you know what that means? It means what you have given to me is enough. And we actually really did experience a miraculous provision when we sold our house. We had 4 months with 2 little kids. Oh my gosh, I was strapping Ruby in the car and driving to New Hampshire like 3 days a week, touring all these different houses. It was wild. And then do you know what our realtor said to us? She said, I know. She said, I know a guy. I know a family. They really don't feel like going through the process of cleaning out their house in order to list it. You want to come take a look at it? And it was ours. We said, how much do they want for it? They said our exact budget. We said, okay, well, we're not going to argue with that. And it's in that kind of a situation where you can always find a complaint about something, right? We look around our house, we go, oh, I wish we had different counters. This generic whatever, there's this. You can complain about anything. We know and we trust and we believe God gave us that place. He provided that for us. And so we just like wash our mouths out with soap a little bit. Like, really? You're going to complain about a gift? No, you're not. Be quiet. The boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Isn't that a way to say, I will be content? God has given me a gift, and that gift is good. We all get gifts from God. It might not be a house, but it might be relationships. It might be the ability to serve or volunteer in something that really brings you a lot of meaning. It might be your garden outside, for goodness sake. And as soon as we say, well, the gift that God gave to you is better than the gift he gave to me, I want a refund. The boundary lines have fallen for you in pleasant places. we can be content in what God has given to us. Surely I have a delightful inheritance. Okay? So when I was in college, I went 3,000 miles away from home. Dodo bird. I went really far away from home, and I had to fly back and forth all the time, anytime I wanted to come home. So I was pretty motivated. And I developed a lot of anxiety. Just, I was really far away from home. I literally didn't know anybody. Like, I couldn't call someone and say, can I come do laundry? I didn't even have like a great great aunt 3 times removed or something like that. I had nobody past the Mississippi. And I really developed a lot of anxiety. And it became really bad when I had to travel. And I would sit in the seat on the airplane and I would get panic attacks, like really bad panic attacks. And I would be like, if you know any of the signs, it's like really intense. And I was always alone by myself traveling. And this became my song. And I would just sit in the seat and I would put my head back and I would pull out my little Bible because I didn't have an iPhone because they didn't exist. And, and I would just say this song over and over and just speak it over myself. And actually, I mean, even though I do have my moments where I struggle with anxiety still, a lot of people do. I really actually like recovered from my anxiety about traveling on a plane. I really sort of healed from that because of just my dependence. And it really grew in me the fact that this is really a psalm of submission. It's a psalm of submitting to God that what you have given to me is good. I can trust in you. My body, it literally says, my heart is glad, my tongue rejoices, my body also will rest secure. Sure, plenty of us struggle with anxiety, but it's really important to speak back to our anxiety and to remind ourselves that God has us, and to not just let the anxiety overtake our hearts and our minds and our lives. To remind ourselves that God has given to us the path of life. He fills us with joy. We're in his presence, even on an airplane, even in 29B, even in the middle seat, okay? We are still in the presence of God. The boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places, right? Wherever it is that your picket fence, right? That's kind of how we think about it in this day and age, is like the white picket fence. That's what we want. That's what we think is sort of like the master of attainment. But the boundary lines, wherever they are for you, whatever moment God has called you into in this time, the boundary lines have fallen in pleasant places. We always have something to be thankful for. And developing an attitude of gratitude about what we do have that God has given to us can really speak back to and push back on the anxiety that sometimes can threaten to overwhelm us. So, where are your boundary lines? What is the lot that God has given to you? If you had to, think of the picket fences surrounding the life that God has offered to you, so you give thanks for it. Maybe you need to change something. That's okay. But what do we have to be thankful for? What can we thank God for? And how do we rest in contentment of the life and the gift that God has given to us? Let's take a moment and respond now by singing hymn number 266, Oh